Hi there! Did you see my promo? Do you love it? When you have a husband who's 6'6" and he's your best friend and you call yourself the bachelor psychologist, you gotta go all in, which is what I did. Now in this video though, I want to catch you up to speed about who Rachel and Gabby are from a psychological perspective, talk about their journey to find love, and what we can anticipate this season. Welcome to Reality TV Therapy with me, Dr. Diane. Welcome back. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Diane, the Back to Love Doc. But I want to provide you with some information on my YouTube page to help you figure out relationships. And why I follow The Bachelorette and The Bachelor is because there's just so much we can learn. And then the trick is to apply these lessons to yourself. That's why I follow, and I want to help you watch every week and dissect what we just saw there. Now the premiere starts the limo entrances on July 11th, and I don't know about you, but I could not be more excited. And wow, this has felt like a forever wait. Let me know what you think of in the comments below. First off, I want to talk a little bit about Gabby and Rachel, what we know about them, because we met both these women on Clayton's season, and they are our two new bachelorettes. So I'm going to start with Gabby. I want to talk a little bit more about her upbringing and her background. Now, Gabby, we all know, lovingly, her grandpa called her a dingbat. I'm hoping we get far, far away from that comment because she's anything but. Gabby, who is she? She's a 31-year-old ICU nurse, graduated from the University of Colorado, and now lives in Denver, Colorado. Where was she born? She was originally born in a little town called O'Fallon, Illinois, to parents Rosemary and Patrick. She does have an older sister named Jazz, but we haven't met her sister in the hometown visit. She attended O'Fallon Township High School, where she was the sports editor of the school paper, and she won Miss O'Fallon in 2008. Again, she graduated from the University of Colorado in 2013 and then moved to Denver. But she was working as an ICU nurse at the University of Colorado Hospital. She was also a cheerleader for the Denver Broncos for 5 years. Now, this is really fascinating about Gabby. In 2021, she was the co-winner of the Pop Warner Humanitarian Award for her service during the pandemic. We just have to love a nurse who was on the front lines. But she was one of the first women ever who's also an NFL cheerleader to receive the award. Let's talk about what we know about Gabby in terms of her relationships. So Gabby is no stranger to Bachelor Nation because she dated a few people already. First, she dated Dean Unglet, Deanie Babies. She dated Dean in college. They were college sweethearts. They dated for about 2 years. And both of them have nothing but wonderful things to say about one another. Dean said, "This Gabby, she's going to go far or she's going to become the Bachelorette," and Dean was right. And then after that, she dated Blake Hortzman. Do you remember Blake? Blake is now a DJ. He's very popular in Bachelor Nation. We know him from Bachelor in Paradise, but first he showed up on Becca Kufrin's season, and Blake was the second runner-up. But also Blake has nothing but wonderful things to say about Gabby. What's important, and what I first remember most about Gabby, is when she had that first meeting with Clayton. Do you remember they were having dinner together? And she talked about being separated and not having any contact with her mother. This is a tough thing, especially for a young woman. It sounded like there was something significant that had happened, right? That she was estranged from her mother, and I got the sense that there was some kind of mental health issue there. We don't have a lot of details about that. But what I think really happened here is that Gabby has just learned herself. And this would be a tribute to her maturity. Not that we say that that's a good way to get there, but there's depth here. And she seems like she's done a lot of work on herself. Remember in the therapy date, she seemed very comfortable. And I really loved that there's a lot of mix here, a lot of balance, right? She calls herself a girl's girl. And she can also be goofy and funny and not take herself too serious. She's a woman after my own heart because I can be that way too if you've seen my videos. But she's a great friend to other women, right? And then we see her goofing around and she's lying on the ground like a dog on her date. And then she's calling Clayton out, like, what's up with those toes when they went hiking? And then she was adventuresome in this dune buggy. There's just so many different sides of Gabby. And then what impressed me most was how she spoke back to Clayton. And this showed some real maturity. Do you remember back when they were in Iceland and they were down to the two and he expressed to both of them they'd slept with both of them? Gabby really held herself well, right? She had a lot of composure. She said, I don't know what I think about this, how I feel. But then she came back. And I immediately said she came back for Rachel. And there was that touch and there was this girl power between the two of them saying, are you okay? And I thought, this is what the show is about. This is about friendship. It's about women supporting women. And that's what impressed me so much about Gabby because, quite honestly, I never thought she was that into Clayton. I don't even think he was her type per se. But she gave him a chance. And then the coup d'etat, the chef's kiss of all of this was during the time when Clayton said, I don't think it's you. And she said, don't walk me out. Don't walk me out. I loved that. And then after the final rose, when Gabby confronts Clayton and she said, Clayton, I don't think you're a bad guy. I just don't think you know what you mean by when you say I love you. Because for me, love is a vow and it means something and words matter and it's important. And that means that you wouldn't put someone through this situation. So I really loved so many of these phrases that Gabby had and how she carried herself. So I'm thinking what's coming for her this season, Gabby's going to have a really good BS meter. Yes! Yes, she is. She's not going to let these guys kind of snow her around. And I think what's going to be great is this friendship that both of them are going to also get intel on a guy and come back to the other one. And together they're going to be able to pretty quickly pick through who might be some of our typical villains or our players. But who is Gabby looking for? She says herself, she's looking for a man with emotional maturity. And though she says she doesn't have a physical type, her type is more personality, right? She wants someone who has quiet confidence. She wants someone who's going to challenge her, communicate their feelings, right? We saw that her father was also very sweet. If you remember, he came back and he had the signs for Gabby and she was so touched by that. But someone who's going to be an equal partner to Gabby and carry the weight of the relationship. Now, looking at all the guys, I don't know who any of them, the men are. We'll find out soon. But she's going to need a tall guy because after all, Gabby is statuesque. She's 5'9". And I imagine her with someone a little bit more, yes, emotional, but someone a little bit more rugged and someone who just really has a sense of stepping up their game. Okay, so now let's talk about Rachel. Rachel Rikia, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I want to know more about what we call this high-flying gal because she is Rachel the pilot. Now, what's fascinating, and there's just so many things in common between Rachel and Gabby, so you can totally see why they're friends. Rachel was born in Chicago, Illinois, not that far from Gabby. So they're both like Midwestern girls, and I have to admit, I was born in Chicago also. So I just love this Midwestern kind of connection then. Now, we met Rachel. Her parents are Tony and Mary, if you remember, and they now live in Florida, which is where we saw the hometown visit. But if you remember Tony, he was a very protective father, right? And Rachel was worried that all the men get the message that no guy is good enough for my daughter. So we're going to see more of Tony. But Rachel also has a younger brother, Anthony. I don't know if we met him. I'm not recalling. And she has a gay best friend. But interesting enough, Rachel was also a cheerleader, and she graduated from Ohio University with a degree in aviation. And if you know anything about aviation school, it's a really long process. I think she said anywhere about 6 years. So she said when it comes to relationships that this is one of her issues. If you recall, she talked about an ex who wasn't completely supportive of her in her life. And what I did love about her father, Tony, was when he confronted Clayton and said, "Do you know about my daughter's dreams?" I thought, wow, that's a protective father. But yeah, do you know about her dreams? Meaning her dream is to travel and to be a pilot, and she's going to need a strong, secure man who's going to be able to handle that. So Rachel herself says she's a hopeless romantic, and I can agree. Now, this is a little bit where I was worried when it comes to Rachel, because I was actually thinking that Rachel was the front runner the whole time in Clayton season. Of course, they didn't show us as much of the Susie story, but she fell fast and she fell hard with Clayton. This could be, I'm not sure yet, the sign of an anxiously attached person. If you remember, she was all in on Clayton pretty quickly. Now, someone who has an anxious attachment style like that can be a people pleaser, someone who wears their heart on their sleeve, someone who falls quickly, sometimes someone who doesn't see the red flags and can give people too many benefits, too many chances. So I'm going to be looking for that clearly, but I'm so hopeful that having her best friend and to help her see through all of this, it's really going to be a huge asset. So Rachel herself says she loves Harry Potter and she loves flamin' hot Cheetos. She's also looking forward to reading the Harry Potter books with her children one day. And I really do see Rachel as a mother type, right? You know, she's looking for someone who's a little bit more nurturing, someone who is empathetic and must be respectful in all facets of life. So love that about Rachel. Now, who were the guys? There's one in particular. I've been looking at all the promos. I think his name is Avon, where we see fireworks in the background, right? And people who make it to the promo, we know are going to make it far. So I would look out for him, and I'll tell you more when we get there. But Rachel, love everything about her. I think she is going to be a huge asset. But I do think in many ways that Gabby's going to carry the season. She has a big personality, and I think together they are going to certainly be double trouble. Now let's talk about what we know about the format of the show, because everyone is curious. We haven't seen this before. And what I heard from a production perspective, it was a nightmare to film, because think about it. They were only planning on having one bachelorette, and then they had to double it. And I don't think they had double the crew. So this is what made it particularly challenging. But originally they had 35 men. I think it's down to 32 or 30 men right now. And it's going to have a little bit more of a Bachelor in Paradise feel, meaning that I don't think it's one person chooses he's my guy or he's your guy, that it's going to be more fluid. So I can't wait to see that. But let's talk about limo entrances, because I just love a good theme. I think we're going to see some pilot themes, right? Even in the promo, there was someone with a paper airplane. I'm thinking Gabby, because she loves dogs so much, she also has a golden doodle that's named Leonardo. I'm guessing somebody dresses up as a dog or does something with reference to dogs. They both love food. We're going to see a pair of twins that look quite young, and somebody who is a meatball enthusiast. So, you know, there's always funny job titles, so to speak. Anyway, I think that the men are going to be a lot of fun, because there's some hotties in this group too that we will see. But then what happens after we leave the Bachelor Mansion with the sprayed driveway? These women are going to get on a plane and they're going to travel to Europe, and the port is going to be in the UK. the UK Portsmouth, where they're going to board the boat called the Virgin Voyage Cruise. That's going to be their transportation and their lodging while they're in Europe. So now we're going to see a lot of beautiful dates in Europe. They're going to be in France. We see a picture of them in Paris. There is a date supposedly in Belgium. And what's really fascinating, at least we can see in the promos, is that they're not going to have their separate group dates. These look like they're going to be joined group dates because we saw Gabby and Rachel together in one of these dates. But there was a boxing date, it looked like. Of course, as we know, there's always the physical dates, and we will see soon. But you watch that we're going to see that these two women continue their friendship, because I think what they learned in their Clayton season is that nothing's more important than the female friendship. But I so hope that these two women find love, and then finally, what I know of the finale is going to happen in Mexico. And it should be beautiful. And if we have double engagements, wow, that would be fantastic. So join me next time where we do a recap on those limo entrances. And make sure you subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know what you want to see more of, and I'll see you soon.